Two, one. Hello, and welcome to a very special episode of the LCS Report Files. Joined with me today is the C9 head coach, Inero. Inero, thank you so much for joining
Yo,
us. How you doing today?
doing pretty good, man. How about you?
Not too bad. Unfortunately, Marn couldn't be here due to time zones. It's like in the middle of the night for him right now, so I get to just be
Yeah,
annoying about C9, and he can't stop me.
nice, perfect.
Yeah, so I want to just get right into it with the C9 project. I think one of the really
Yeah,
interesting things that has been going on in the LCS is this specific C9 project. Last year, the you joined sort of as an assistant coach, and I kind of want to get your perspective on like what the project was when you joined, because to start a little bit in 2023, uh, or sorry, 2024. What happened was they brought in High. They had Mythia as head coach. They brought in High to be like the people person kind of person, the general manager as well. They weren't too sure what he needed to do. And then behind the scenes, we saw he tried to take more of a drafting role, also like making sure people were dealing with each other better. And it seemed like, from my perspective and other fans, he was kind of like the people manager, if that makes sense. And then Mithy was like the strategic coach. And it seemed like
yeah.
that combination didn't really work. They brought in Inero, they brought in Reaper, and then in 2025 they brought you in, and it seemed like they tried to bring you in to fill the gap that High could not or chose not to do. Is that an accurate assessment of what you were pitched or what your goal was when you joined the C9 project?
So I don't know exactly what High was doing. I know when when I was there, High was just kind of like he was another manager. So he would just handle like day-to-day management stuff. I didn't hear anything about him doing like anything on the coaching end or anything to that regard, but I wasn't there, so I don't know. I didn't really ask too many questions about it either. I just knew when I joined he was a manager. When they were pitching the job to me, there was a the primary job was just assistant coach, like just having someone on to like work with Reaper, help him, help the team obviously, and help out with management duties if it was like needed. Like basically, if the managers couldn't be there for a day, like I would be the person who's like the backup to do it. Which it was like 90, 95, 99% just coaching, just working with the team.
And I guess a follow up to that is, was that really something that you were, did you feel like you could do much to coach these players? They're Loki and Thanatos are the rookies, but they're also Korean, so it kind of makes sense for them to take more to Reaper. And then the other three players are
Mhm.
very, very well established in the league. So it seems like what was there for you to add in terms of strategic or I'm not entirely sure what it could be, which is why I'm like asking the question.
Yeah. So I did work very often with like Loki.
Oh,
Loki
okay.
was probably the one I spoke to the most as the like year went on. Like I was pretty close with him. Um like his English was good as the year went on. Like we could talk very casually about like whatever. Um so it was all just kind of normal normal coaching for the rest. But I would focus on very like specific things for the team. Whereas Reaper handled the big picture stuff for everyone. And then as it shifted into the second split and onwards, it was a lot more focused towards just bringing like structure to drafting rather than it being like kind of free flowing. You know, we have like a rough idea of what we're doing, but not like a set ideal of like this is what we're gonna do every game. So I just shifted more into doing that, and then I would help out with just the daily things that we wanted me to track. So I was doing a lot of just individual tracking of like, oh, we're consistently doing this mistake and like calling that out and like talking about it with the team and like just putting it out there. But it was very chill, to be honest. Kind of just carved out my own role within the team that I thought made sense. I don't think there's a whole problem with when it's veterans that like you don't have like much to coach. I don't think that's like really the case. There's always value for having someone else watching the game that understands it and can provide like a different perspective. Also, when you're playing the game, you can't like monitor every single thing that's happening with everyone else and really know. So it would still help out with that where it like would make sense, you know.
Okay, I have a couple specific questions actually
Yeah.
about the drafting that you took over, the LeBron James of drafting 50% of the time. Um, One thing that
30%, but thank you for the
oh so
50. Thank you for the
oh
extra
30.
20%.
Okay, okay, I
Yeah.
30% of the time. Sorry.
Yeah.
Um, you so Cloud9 has had this like drafting meme about them for a very long time. So a little bit of history. 2023, Miffy was the coach, and fans weren't really happy with his drafting. And going into 2024, I talked to him, and he said one thing that they're trying to do is they're giving less um, agency to the players, and they're trying to figure out the draft just previously with like in draft meetings, and the coaches get to decide what the draft is because they felt like at Worlds, what he told me is that at Worlds in 2023, it felt like every player wanted a pick and they trusted those players with the picks, but they weren't able to see the big picture. And because they didn't have like that structure in place, it was difficult. So going into 2024, he decided he was like him and Vagar V2, they were going to take over the draft and not the players to some extent. And then he obviously he gets kicked the split at the end of that split, and then Reaper comes in, and Reaper historically is known to be a lot more strict with things. But when I talked to him, he was like, "Yeah, now I see things a little more. Things are a little more loose." So when you came to Cloud9, what was the drafting strategy? Had they went back to regress to the 2023 style of like the players kind of dictate what the draft is? Was it more like Reaper with the belt? Like what was it?
At the start of the year, it was like pretty just, you know, everyone talks together and we figure out what we think is the best pick going in. You'll have like a you have like kind of a flow chart of champions where you already know like, okay, you know, this champ's OP, this champ's OP, we're willing to trade for this champ and this champ. And then you build a comp around what you end up with in your first rotation and try to make it like make sense. And then you realize where the trades are bad and good. And as a collective, we just kind of like talk through that. I don't think there was anything like super strict. It didn't feel like a really strict environment around that at all. There definitely was no like belt thing really. Obviously sometimes, you know, it'll come up with a thing of just like, nah, we're not playing this. Like we just suck at it. Um, but no, it wasn't like super strict like that. It was pretty like free flowing. You know, what we feel like is good in this, then we'll do that. So it wasn't super strict.
All right. The other thing with Cloud9 in 2025, it felt like they were really good at doing what they always did. They've almost never deviated from the general like gameplay of Cloud9, which made them predictable, but also made them really good at what they did. And one of
Yeah.
those things was the way you guys played with Sven and Vulcan. Really felt like they were unleashed, and I thought we saw like the culmination of that, the highlight of it in spring, or split two, whatever they wanted to call it back then. Uh,
Yeah.
every team that you join, I think I was talking to Koobs and he was mentioning this. Every team that you join happens to have their bot lane pop off. FBI and Huhi back in the day, and then you had Stixay, you know, having his resurgence with Huhi as well, and now Sven having a much better year than he did on Dignitas. Is that something that you specifically focus on, or is it you just 30% of the time giving them amazing drafts so they're able to do it? Like what's going on there?
I mean, I don't think I'm doing anything specific for bottom really. At least on like this team, there's like those guys have played together for a while. They know what they want with each other and they know what works for them. Um, I do think our team was very predictable. Like we would just do our thing and we would practice playing our thing and get really good at our thing and make sure that if we got it, you know, we know how the game goes and we know how to play that out. Um, but I think for our bot lane, like it just helps when your team is good and is like very consistent and you know what to expect from them. That always makes the game easier for an AD carry to play the game. Um, it's just easier than a lot of other teams. You know, like if you're on a bottom team, you can be a good AD carry and you can just look terrible because you just don't have the same like support. Your role is very fragile. Um, so I honestly think on teams I've worked on, I've been pretty fortunate to have, you know, like good supports like Huhi, Ole, like now Vulcan that have a pretty clear idea of what they want to do in the game and can like play it out consistently. Like they've all been like veteran players, whereas with a rookie support, it's going to be a lot harder. Um, so I don't think I'm doing anything like super special To be honest with you, I don't think there's some like crazy magic thing that I'm like doing at all for it. Like on C9, it is literally just we know what our team is going to play. We know what we're good at. We're going to make it like happen in draft. We're going to make sure those things exist. And that obviously extends to bot lane.
Where did that direction for Cloud9 of how they wanted to play, where did that come from? Because I know at some point Dom started working with you guys more. You had Vigar V2, you were there, Reaper was there, Blabber, who was very vocal, Sven, who, from what I hear, obviously I'm never there, but also sometimes leads reviews and has a lot of views on the game. Vulcan as
Yeah.
well, like a veteran. There's so much to go there. How do you end up on that specific like playstyle?
Well, I mean, for this type of thing, like consistently doing the same thing and like figuring out like what we think is good for us. A lot of it is pretty led around Blabber and like what works for him. I figuring out what was at least in this like past year, like top mid jungle was always like OP, and figuring out like what to do to set them up for success and to like regularly be able to get it was pretty important. And I think as long as you're going in with a clear identity of what you want to do in draft and find ways to make it available every game and make it like work every game, you get really consistent practice on it, and then you get really used to playing it. And it's just reps. You're just repeating the same thing over and over and being down to play it. Um, this naturally leads to you playing the game the same way, figuring out what to do there the same way. I think our guys also liked the game feeling like pretty structured. The ones that like lead that type of thing of like this should happen at this time, so I'm gonna make it happen. Like Blabber's obviously more of the X factor on that, where he looks for the like creative, like in between play he can get like off of timers. Um, so I don't know, it just like naturally works out like that. And different teams, and now honestly, I feel like our team is a lot better at it now too with APA. You are much better at. I want to look for like a funny angle, whether it's in draft or in game, where I can like catch the other people off guard rather than just like I'm gonna do this play every single time and do it over and over and just be better than you at it.
It's really interesting that you say that because in 2024, that was the opposite of what C9's identity was. Like, sure, they were a top
Yeah.
team, but they really lost their way, and there was nothing that they were consistent about doing every single game. Sure, they would get leads in the early game because they were better laners. They had JoJo at that time, but then they weren't ever able to get into the set plays that they practiced over and over again. They just never, they weren't able to translate that onto stage. And for you to say that
Mhm.
it came in so naturally when really all they did was replace JoJo for Loki, it's kind of fascinating that the Blabbers, Venom, Vulcan were able to find that out, that it came naturally. It almost feels like it's the opposite. There must have been so much clashing going on for them to find that one direction.
Yeah, I mean it was a change up of two players. Like it was like
Oh,
Loki
it's
and
Ven
Sven
as well.
joined
Oh,
this
yeah, I
last year
forgot.
with
Yeah,
us too.
Berserker, yeah.
So like that is, 40% of a team. That is like a pretty massive change up. I don't know what the team dynamic was like back then, so it could have been completely different. I do think JoJo can be a bit more of like an X Factor player himself, where he's looking for like angles to punish people and looking for angles to push a smaller advantage than maybe some other people would be willing to do, rather than looking at the whole like overarching picture and trying to stick to the game being the same way. But I don't know. Like I didn't work there at the time, so I have really no idea how exactly they functioned internally or what the like staff setup or like player interpersonal stuff was like.
No, that makes sense. And now getting to the actual game, I interviewed
Yeah.
Loki, I think after his second game in the first split, and he talked about nerves. He still wasn't like, I think at that time he even requested a translator. He didn't speak English well enough, and he was very
Yeah.
nervous playing his first games. He felt like he wasn't able to like kind of show what he really was able to do. And then by split two, you could tell that this guy was very comfortable. He was doing interviews in English as well. Talk to me about
Yeah.
integrating him. You mentioned how you worked a lot with him. How did you get him to kind of break out of his shell and start playing better, and also get more used to the environment?
I mean, obviously Reaper like worked a lot with him too, because that's naturally what it would require when he doesn't speak English fully. And David, our manager as well, being able to speak Korean is always talking with him. But I always made it a point of focus to just talk to Loki like casually. As the year went on, we ended up like living in the same house together too. Like he lived in one of the C9 houses with me. So I just talked to the kid a lot and just ask him how his day is going, just casually talk about the game. The team environment was always like really welcoming. I think everyone on the team does a pretty good job of letting people just feel, welcome to be there. Like you'll get bullied a lot on C9, but it's like in a, it's like a loving way. Like you're not doing it because you're being mean to someone. Just, like any group of guys like making fun of each other will do. So I just think naturally over time, like he just got like set into the culture and just how it was and just a routine and is used to it. Like C9 does a lot of stuff together. Like we do gym every morning together. And do like team dinners. Obviously we're scrimming all day. You spend a lot of time together, so you just naturally get more and more comfortable with each other. You do on every team, but it was pretty nice. Like our environment wasn't too like hard, especially with how often, we're winning scrims, and it's usually good days when you're winning scrims a lot. You're usually not feeling like shit at the end of the day or getting a bunch of flack from people. Which Loki did get the most like flack of anyone on the team or like feedback because like he is a rookie, like he is the youngest on the team and has a lot to improve on. But it was never like super negative. So I think he just naturally got used to things. He also is just like a nice guy. He's just genuinely like a pretty kind person. So it's just easy to get along with.
Was there never too much of a burden because you guys weren't the best team, and so you're always playing catch up, and at the same time, you guys, like I guess maybe I should have asked this in the beginning, but when you joined the C9 project, I'm pretty sure one of the, I shouldn't say that. Sorry, let me rephrase that. When you joined the C9 project in 2025, what were the expectations? Was it we need to win at least one split, we need to win all the splits, we need to make worlds and MSI? Like what was the standard set?
Yeah, the expectation was Worlds. Org obviously wants to be back at Worlds, and it's the same this year, But we expected like a pretty slow start at least for the first half of the year, just because we're acclimating like a rookie to English and playing the game at a tier 1 level. But Worlds was like the end goal.
Okay, so there wasn't too much pressure then for spring, or split two, whatever they used to call it.
Yeah, there definitely wasn't as much pressure. I mean, there naturally is because all the players are good, so they want to be there and they're gonna like push for that. And like as a staff, obviously you want to be there. Everyone wants it. Um, but there wasn't some like expectation of you guys need to win right now or else. Like you don't have this like looming thing over your head that like it has to happen or else you're screwed.
I see. And was there ever so Thanatos and Loki, they're both Korean, they're the relative like rookies on the team. Was there ever any additional pressure from you because you are the most handsome person in all of esports? Like was that ever something that
Thanks. Was there ever just like a extra thing on them?
yeah, because like you go into a room with someone who's just like always looking so fine and so fresh that it's like, oh wow, that little bit of awe over there?
No,
Nothing like
no,
that?
not at all. I did. All there was in the first one was Loki said he thought I was scary when we first like met, but like no, no, not at all.
Do you know where that started? I don't know, but anytime I hear like Nick Inero Smith, the most handsome guy in all of esports, and like one time I was like, "Oh, where's that
Yeah,
from?" He's like, "You don't know? He is the most handsome guy." So I'm like, "Where did this start?"
I've never heard this in my life.
Really?
Literally never once.
Oh my
No,
god, I've heard it like dozens of times.
it sounds like someone shit posting it, bro. I won't lie to you.
No, like not just from one person. I've heard it from many different people. Like David Shynock,
We'll take those.
for
We'll
example, has
take
said it
those, bro.
multiple times.
Whatever.
All right. I won't go naming names. Maybe they're too shy to say it to your face, but.
Yeah, we'll take it.
So split one happens. Sorry, split. Yeah, forget split one. I thought that was a very strange format. Split two happens, and you guys make it to the finals.
Yeah,
Before that happened, I think a lot of people were very questioned a lot, specifically Blabber, because I think
yeah,
the rumor was in 2024 when they were switching out Fudge, they also looked for Tarzan. Over the offseason, people were saying, oh, I think it's time for Blabber to leave. Obviously, the org
yeah.
chose to stick with Blabber. I think that's an amazing decision. Very, like, good job, Steve. But I'm wondering if there was any additional pressure on specifically Blabber that he hadn't made it to Worlds. He hadn't won in a while, and even the fans now who used to be Blabber fans are now turning on him. Was there any additional pressure on specifically like Blabber from your
I'm
perspective?
sure there
Obviously, it's hard to.
I'm sure there is more like on a like his own personal achievement level, less of like feeling it from a public sentiment. Like Blabber does a pretty good job of like avoiding anything social related. Like he's just not the guy who's gonna like, jump on Reddit or Twitter and like see people flaming him or saying that like it's his time, he should retire, that type of thing. He's not someone who's gonna like run into that really. But on like his personal level, I think Blabber obviously wants more and has that expectation of himself that he should be performing like much better or be at Worlds, like doing these types of things. Like he sees that as himself and that he should be doing that. But I don't think anything on the outside really like got to Blabber. At least he never showed it. Like if it was, he never made it like very clear at all.
Okay, was this is a very weird question, and I think the answer should be
Yeah.
obvious, but I'm asking it for a reason. Did you guys
Mhm.
truly believe? Was there that belief that you guys actually could beat FlyQuest going into that series in spring finals?
So second split, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, I think the community had like a really warped perception because like it was always like super hyped by like casters and everyone else that like FlyQuest was like the team, but they didn't perform well in the first split, you know? And when we're like scrimming these guys, it's always like a back and forth. Um, we always felt like it was close. I think Fly had edges on us in a lot of ways, um, but it was always close. Like we played them. How many times was it we played them that split? Like I know in the first split we 2-0'd them, and then we didn't see them in playoffs, so we didn't play them at all. And then in second split, I think both times it was 2-3, 2-3. It was really close. And both times in game five, we like tossed the game, I think. I think the first time in game five, we just like outright lost.
yeah,
Um, I know that one was like it was like pretty like draft, like not great. Um, but in the second one, like we had a huge lead and we lost. So like we always felt like it was close. There wasn't some like, David Goliath thing. Like we think Flies is like crazy team we have to like catch up to and beat. Um, it was just like, yeah, we think Fly's the other good team. So we got to be ready to face them. Like TL would be there every now and then, but TL was like so up and down through like the whole year that it was just, maybe if they get you at the right time, they'll be better than you, but they weren't consistent enough to really like make it work. Um, so no, I didn't see Fly as like some insurmountable thing that was going to be too hard to get by, or that they would just outright beat us.
okay. It's because you guys were pretty close. Like obviously went to 5 games that first series, and I was wondering if there
Yeah,
was that sense of like, we can get them very close, but we just can't happen to do it on stage. They're just too good. At that time, they were playing, I think, some of their best League of Legends as well, and so the narrative around FlyQuest was like, oh my god, they're just so good. And I
yeah,
wanted to see if that like would ever seep through, because sometimes it does, but you never know when it actually does seep into like a player's mind.
yeah. No, not really. I think everyone just hated FlyQuest and wanted to beat them. So that was all. That was it.
Did you feel like maybe Loki had any sort of nerves? I know it was like his first time playing in a finals. Did you feel anything like that? It seemed like he was such a stone cold killer once he got comfortable to playing. He just he became so good, and it's like he's a rookie.
Yeah. I think Loki always needed time to like warm up on stage. Like he would be a guy that would kind of like just heat up as the series went on and got better. Like like our game five, like where we played Zeri. Um, I think it was versus DSG.
Hmm.
Loki just like 1v9 that game. He would definitely have nerve issues to start. It was something he was very open about too. Like he would just feel nervous, and me and him talked about that a lot. Um, yeah, I mean he's like new to this, new to playing on stage and this, new to playing and like, hey, if you win this, you go to Worlds, and if you lose, you don't. Or like this is the difference maker between international and just competing in North America. Um, so it was there, but it's natural. Like it makes sense. But he would usually like kind of lose it as he got like into the series and was like really immersed into it.
That makes sense. I have to talk about the Jarvan EQ in mid lane on Caitlyn, and like just that
Yeah.
everybody's just like, oh, this is why we were doubting Blabber. And I was like, did you watch the series? Did you see
Yeah.
what he did the first 4 games, 4.5 games actually? Like
Yeah.
even when they were in your base, Blabber like suicides in order to win you guys that fight. I was just like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But obviously, it was a big thing, and people still talk about it to today.
Yeah.
How does
It
that
wasn't
affect?
great.
Yeah, how does that affect you guys as a team? And obviously, Blabber, you said he's like pretty good at keeping that away, but surely that narrative must hit him at some point.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, like, okay, when you work with Blabber, you know you're going to get those types of moments sometimes, but he usually makes up for it in making like insane moments other times as well, too, you know? Like, it'll happen. It wasn't a good play. Like, it almost could have worked, but, you know, almost doesn't fucking matter. Um, but it's like shit, it happened, bro. A dozen other things also could have happened that would have changed the game too, but like, you know, it happened at a bad time, so it's gonna look terrible. Um, it just is what it is. Like we move on. Like we took away from that series, like, you know, this was ours to win. We thought, I mean, there's another game before that too. We thought like should have been ours, and we made a mistake around it, and you know, we lost.
Game four,
Obviously, it's
yeah,
like,
you
hey,
guys were winning.
it's like, hey, we should have won this series like 3-1. So like, this was our series to just win. Both of the last games we should have just won. So fuck it, we'll play them again next split, and we'll just win next time. You know. Obviously, we didn't even play fly even once the next split.
Amazing
Cheers to
format, by
that.
the way.
But we never got our get back, which is unfortunate. But that was also on us for missing the opportunity to. Um, but no, I don't think it lives on in its own way of people just like making fun of Blabber, just like, you know, classic, like really good play, bro. Like that was a good one. But people just are on our team at least, we just like laugh it off too, you know. You give Blabber shit for it, but like he knows, he's aware that it's a bad play as well. He just sees an angle and thinks it might work and goes for it. So
The bullying that you talked about, you bully him a little bit. Gotta.
yeah, everybody gets it. Everybody gets flack in some way. You know, you gotta be ready for it when you join C9. This is how it goes.
Does Ven still get bullied for his Ezreal? No
No,
QSS? No? Okay.
no, that wasn't on. I don't think that was on C9 though.
No, it
So
was on
I think he's
TSM, but
safe.
it's still like one of those finals that
Yeah.
probably
So he's
haunts him.
safe. He's safe from it. Yeah,
He's safe from it. That's funny.
yeah,
Um, the the player that I want to talk about next actually is Ven. If there
yeah,
was an MVP for that series, if you could give MVP to that series for someone who lost, it would go to Sven. I thought he was the best player in that final. He played out of his mind. It was incredible watching him play and like the
yeah,
resurgence he kind of had. I don't know. You would agree he was the best player. Obviously, Olasina played well, but
yeah.
that guy was a beast. How does he keep doing it? Like, what do you see from
Uh,
the inside to for him to reach these heights like year in year out?
I mean, Sven's just like a really passionate player about the game. Like this is what he like lives and breathes is League of Legends, and he puts a lot of time into it. Think some people might just think because he's like older in the grand scheme of things that you know he's washed or some shit, but like he's not. Like he's a really clutch player. I think those are moments usually where Sven like shines in it. I know he had like you know the TSM example that you bring up, which everyone will have those moments when they're constantly in finals, constantly in like these bigger games. Eventually, you're gonna like grief something sometimes. But nah, he just puts a lot of time in, like a whole lot of time into the game. Is always watching the game, always talking to like other people in different regions about the game, about what he can do. Yeah, he just puts the time in, and I think as long as you're doing that and you're passionate about it, you're gonna be good. Maybe when he's like 40 or something and League is dead, he won't be as good at League, but like as long as he cares, it's still gonna be there, you know?
Do you have any idea where he keeps that passion? The guy's been playing since 2015 summer in Tier 1, and he was like, I mean, the guy had to join Dignitas, he took a split off, and he still somehow manages to find this passion.
I mean, when it's there, you know? Like it's just how it is. I think a lot of us have been grinding the game for a while. Like I started in 2015 as well. I'm still here. Sven's been going at it forever. Like everyone else on the team outside of, you know, like Thanatos because he's younger, has been at this game for like their entire like youth, basically. So it's as long as it remains like a thrilling thing for you and you like know you can win, I think it's really easy to stay passionate about it.
You worked with FBI, you worked with Stixay. Yeah, you've actually worked with more
Yeah,
AD carries over your time, especially on that Golden Guardian roster. They're a little bit of
yeah,
musical chairs at some point, but
yeah,
Sven is like known to be this. He's like super tall, so he's like confrontational. I remember Blabber in the first split that they played together, or maybe the first second year that they played together was like sometimes I'd be afraid that Sven's just gonna come up and kill me or something. Like he's tall, he's loud, he's abrasive, he's European. That's kind of like his style.
yeah.
How is it different dealing with Sven compared to more the American AD carries?
Um, I mean, I really think the difference with Sven compared to the others I've worked with is just that he has a like much stronger opinion about the game and like what he thinks should happen from everyone in the game. Like I think the others that I worked with are more focused on themselves, and it's really like what their job is and what they're doing, and less so like reaching across the board to like other people. Um, it's really just that like Sven is just very outspoken and very like confident in what he thinks about the game. Obviously, he's down to like talk it out with people, and he always does. But yeah, he's just outspoken and puts in the effort to like look at what everyone in the game can be like doing.
Has that ever created any sort of conflict between like the Koreans and Sven? Because Korean culture is a lot more like respectful. He's the like respect the coach, just listen and shut up and play. And obviously Sven is a very different culture. Was there ever a time you guys needed to like, no, actually, this is what's going on?
I mean, conflict is like naturally just there with any team, with any players. I also think there is a bit of a misconception that like the public can have on more like Korean players are much like less confrontational than others. Like at least from my experience, like Korean players are very much the same of like willing to talk about what they think in the game and like argue over points if they're like really really about it. Um, Not really. Like Sven's like caused as much conflict as others have on other teams that I've worked with across different roles as, someone who's trying to win and is trying to like really figure out what is the like right play to do. So no, it's not anything like too different. He's just looking at other roles, not just himself, looking at the like team as a whole and like what we can do better.
I'm not trying to like paint a negative picture of him. I just thought it would be
No, you're good.
interesting
I
to
know.
like see the difference in culture between like a European who's more outspoken and a Korean who's like normally less, or at least the perception is that they're less outspoken. Um,
Yeah.
then Split 3 happens, and Sven went from looking like the best player in the league to not the best player in the league, to put it in nice terms. It seemed like, especially in playoffs, he had a regression. It almost like he felt he had no agency in the game. Maybe you could shed some light on that, whether maybe the drafts that you guys put him in, or what do you think happened? Maybe it's an unfair narrative. You feel like it was unfair narrative, but it did feel like Sven's ability to affect the game and just, I mean, dying in the 2v2 or getting solo killed in mid lane, it uncharacteristic of Split 2 Sven.
I think that was more of a hit on like what was happening to us as a team. Like as like cracks start to show and like what's happening for our team as a whole, like people's individual problems will naturally pop up a lot more. So I wouldn't say it's like a him specific thing. I think all of us ended up having it show up in different ways. Um, so I wouldn't say anything like specifically focused on him. I don't think he like as an outstanding member on the team like regressed compared to any of the others. I think we as a whole just kind of like fell off from what our norm was, and it just wasn't as good as we were before.
So I have a hypothesis of what happened to Cloud9, and you can like correct me if I'm wrong or not.
Sure.
I felt like the two things that happened that caused Cloud9's demise, if we will, is one, it felt like you guys never recovered from that spring loss. Sorry, Split 2 loss. And then two, the format
Mm.
in which you had to play a bunch of bad teams instead of actual good teams, and just a very, very strange format, honestly. That I think every single team got worse. I don't think, maybe, okay, 100 Thieves, but they made a sub, so that doesn't really count. I think every other team straight up just got worse. Maybe because of the format, but maybe because they don't get to play the best practice. I don't know what it is, but I felt like those two things kind of lined up perfectly with the natural C9 and summer slump, and that kind of caused a collapse? Do you think there's any legitimacy to my theory?
I don't think the format or anything is like a reason like people got worse. I don't think it like changed too much. I think the only thing that could have made things worse for people was that we like regressed a little bit in what we were doing. Um, but I don't think what we were doing was really like setting us up for like the best success, to be honest. Um, which is ultimately why like changes were made, of course. Um, so it was just like a bit rough. Like I think we had a few like crutches through the year that could work for us, but aren't good for the long term. Like for example, we had a whole thing like we just couldn't play Rise and Annie. Like those were two champs that we just could not play on our team, and those were like pretty important champs in a best of five to be able to play. And we didn't have like great answers to them either that we could really play. So it was really rough for us in like draft figuring that out. And rather than like fixing it early in the year, we honestly just kept practicing like with it out, and that created like problems. So that's like something I could have done like better for it that would have helped like those situations out to be a lot better for us. Um, and I think that naturally leads to like more issues where that exists. There's just other stuff going on that I'm not gonna like go into, of course. But I don't think it was like a format thing or anything like that is what really like doomed it for us. I do think when we lost to SR, that was kind of like a hit on us. Like that definitely took a toll on the mental a little bit, I felt. Which is understandable. Like for us the whole year, like we did not give a shit about SR. Just pretty sure we're just gonna beat them every single time. Um, and everything we did in scrims, like no one was a problem outside of Fly. That was the only team that was we really felt like was like a challenging thing. Um, so for me, it wasn't like the format was an issue really at all. It was just like internal team.
And what about like the loss in spring?
No, I don't think the loss in spring was like something we didn't recover from. Like at least from everything that I got and like felt from people, the loss in spring was like more motivating.
Oh,
Like
okay.
we felt like again, like I said, like we should have won that, and it was just completely ours to win. So we're like, yeah, it's pathetic that we lost this. That fucking blows. We'll just beat them next split when we play them. We'll just do better. So
You guys boot camped. I guess boot camped. You guys were practicing when MSI was going on, right? You guys were playing like the Asian teams.
yeah, we were.
Did do you guys have the classic NA thing of, oh, we're practicing against the Asian teams, we're getting completely destroyed, that's like causing us to lose confidence in ourselves, and we don't know how to play? Did that kind of happen?
No, our team was always winning. Like we were winning versus everyone. Like we were
Against the
always
Asian
doing well.
teams?
Yeah, we were winning like all the time. Like our team was really, really good in scrims. I think people like really um like there's the whole scrim like demons thing, you know, like where your team's like always doing well in scrims and maybe not the same on stage, but we were like always winning. Um but we had that going on through like the whole year. Like anytime we scrimmed, like we started the year, we played like AL in them and we like 5-0'd them, and it was like pretty straightforward. Like they were always scrimming us, but it's like beginning of the year, you know, you don't even know which LPL team is the best. Obviously AL ended up being pretty fucking good. Um so no, we had like pretty good scrims throughout a lot of that period. And it was good. Like it was good practice for us when we played them. So it was overall like pretty solid. Like the games were contested. Like we obviously weren't going in and like 5-0ing Gen G or something like that. That shit's not happening. But it's like very good days. Like actually like good practice. Like we're contesting them. So it was good. Like we didn't run into the issue of showing up and like we're just getting completely destroyed by Asian teams.
Okay, I know you guys have talked extensively. I don't want to get too much into it at EWC, but like, man, we did not see any of that in EWC. It kind of felt like my read was like, oh, we're doing well in scrims, ha ha. And then you go, you get
Yeah.
stomped. Obviously, like the jet, like all of that stuff happened. I understand the
Yeah.
what happened, but like, man, I looking back on
And
it, it seems kind of
EWC was
crazy.
like a nightmare, like whole experience. We were there for like 2 days total. It wasn't good. Like everyone obviously had like the same conditions. Like every team showed up, had like a terrible experience with like turnaround from you landing and then you go into media day. And like every single team, I think, before their like next match on stage when we played was just sleeping in the like rooms waiting. So it wasn't just like us dealing with jet lag or something, you know? I do think our team handled it always like much worse. Like Loki and Blabber usually like struggle with the jet lag piece, which is something that like the team is like talked about and is they're gonna like work on for like this year when we go to international. It should hopefully be like better. And just for our team as a
When we
whole to
go,
like
all right.
get places like earlier. Yeah, of course. And just like get places earlier and like let's fix our jet lag before an event rather than sticking to the Riot schedule or the EWC schedule or something. Um, but yeah, like we just like completely dropped the ball there.
All right, that's. I mean, I'm still kind of shook that because you guys did say that, oh, we are doing well in scrims, and I usually chalk that up to we're learning, right? Not necessarily beating the teams. I feel like beating the teams is like another level of instilling confidence of like, man, if we beat FlyQuest that one game, like if just one or two things happen, like they don't ace us at that dragon, we could be the ones
Yeah,
like be challenging AL BLG, taking them to 5, maybe even winning. So that must
yeah.
be
But it's
extra
also
motivation.
like it is for sure. But like scrims are also scrims. I do think when you scrim the Asian teams, they also like kind of test you a bit first to see like imagining not to say at the level of like LCK to NA is like an LCS team to an academy team, but when you're scrimming a team that you're like maybe not respecting as much on an initial level, internally you might not be putting 100%
Mm.
into it, or maybe they're testing something versus us because they just want to see and they don't want to like show it versus like the people they're competing against. Um, like that can always be something that's like there that is leading to it like, oh, maybe it's like more successful for us when that's happening, or we're scrimming them because like we're getting better conditions because of this. Um, but yeah, I mean we were doing like pretty well. I think just individually, like our players were all good enough to keep up. We weren't like really lacking anywhere. Like our team wasn't deficient at an individual level.
I mean that is motivating for this iteration of Cloud9. I know it's like a little bit of coaching staff change, and we'll get to that.
Yeah,
But the other thing that has been consistent from the very beginning until now, one of the things that Cloud9 has been doing is part of their like systems, right? Is content. You guys were probably the best team throughout
yeah,
the year with your content, constantly getting players to do the podcast with Medios. Sometimes even you were on there. Reaper was on there a couple times. How
yeah.
much of that came from like above you guys? How much of that was like directly involved with you guys? Like, hey, this is the type of content we feel like we could do where it doesn't bother the players too much. Is that like a collaborative process? I just kind of want to understand because I felt like you guys landed on a very good cadence of like content creation.
I mean, that's definitely like above our heads. Like that's like an org decision thing. Obviously, like players and staff will give feedback on like, hey, we think this kind of content thing like isn't us. Like we don't want to do this, but it's mainly like there's an expectation you're going to be doing this, and you show up and you do it.
Does that ever? Is there ever like a push between like, hey, we want the players, and it's like, no, this is like practice time, or no, this is the relaxation time. Do it somewhere else. Is there ever that like back and forth?
Not really.
Oh.
It's usually like all pre-planned. Like, for today, for example, we know Thursday is like our content day, and then after scrims, you're gonna have content. It'll be different people like every week. We'll go do it. And if you get called to do it, you go do it.
Okay, so it's relatively like what's the word I'm looking for? Uh, Problem free or there's a word I'm looking for. Anyways, it's not causing too much
Mm,
tension between the players or anything like that.
yeah, it's not very intrusive, so
Yeah,
it's
intrusive.
pretty chill. Like we plan our practice around everything. Like we know it's content day, so we're not gonna do like like a night block today or something.
All right, unlike another team that I may or may not have supposed to do an interview with, and then they ended up tripping blocking, but we don't talk about that.
Yeah.
Split three. You guys go three, or is it 4 games? 4-0? And then you guys didn't know that you guys could finish in first place. Neither did anyone else besides Jat, which was really
Yeah, I mean that whole
strange.
thing was like a complete mess, bro. Like whatever they were doing with that format was just so like completely ill. Like the fact that there's two teams that are 4-0 or something. Like it was us and Fly, right? It was like the
Yeah.
whole thing. And yeah, none of us thought that like ours could be first based on like some point thing, and then we just were like, I don't know. It was such a mess. Like it was such a confusing format, and they need to like completely remove whatever that was.
Yeah, which
It was
thankfully
so
they
weird.
did.
Yeah, it was a mess.
Then you guys have to pick between Shopify, FlyQuest, and Team Liquid. And I'm going to go through each team. FlyQuest, if you
Yeah.
guys really wanted to challenge yourselves and really wanted that best practice, you could have picked FlyQuest. Was there ever any world where you guys would have picked FlyQuest?
No, because it just makes your like whole thing harder. Because obviously, like what happened to us, we picked SR and we lost. You had to win so many more than the other side. Like just by winning the first match, you're already into the like next bracket where you're gonna play the CBLOL team at worst or the LTA South team.
Mm-hmm.
So no, you should always pick your like easiest opponent.
Okay. Now, was Team Liquid not the easiest opponent? I mean, I was doing interviews at that time. This is the only time the Shopify Fan of Me will come out. But I was doing interviews
Yeah.
at that time, and like, literally everyone, including DSG, was saying, I think Team Liquid was the worst team in the league. And then you
Yeah.
guys pick us over them. And we were also 4-0 at that point. It was very surprising. And Loki chalked it up to, we just think Palafox is really bad. I'm going to gap him. So, like, this is obviously our easiest matchup.
Yeah.
Why not Team Liquid before we get to Shopify?
I mean, yeah, we had 2-0 Team Liquid that day before we made the thing. So like we thought TL would be a team we'd win against too, but we've like played SR the entire year. Didn't think that they were good at all, to be honest with you. So yeah, we just thought they were better. Whereas TL, like we do think that they had like good players and they had the ability, you know, if they like lock in and they hit the right like stride, like they can actually be competitive. So that team also will have a better chance of like winning versus us, in our opinion. We still think we would win, but you know, maybe they actually like figure out something to do that week and they lock in. Maybe they stop banning Yon Gwen every game and they like figure out like what they can do around it and like find something that works. Whereas SR, we felt just had like no hope to beat us. So
So it was like the potential of Team Liquid figuring it out was more scary than what actually
yeah,
Team Liquid was.
yeah, like they just definitely felt like they had more potential to like do something than SR did.
Okay. Which obviously leaves Shopify. You pick
Yeah,
Shopify, and I Will Dominate made it very clear that you guys were not underestimating us. You were like doing a lot of. He did a lot of VOD review. He actually prepped you guys on the B-Boy
yeah,
special where he just like walks completely by himself without the team around the grub fights. Like he does it every time. It's so annoying, but you guys were
yeah.
prepared for that. What can you tell me about that series? Because it felt like once you guys lost that first game, you guys felt shaken, and then like maybe game 4, you guys were back in it, but it just felt like you guys couldn't shrug off the fact that you guys lost the game to us.
Yeah, I mean, I think we always kind of struggled with that, like losing a game and really recovering it. Like, I don't think we did a great job as a staff of like getting ourselves back into, you know, the game,
Mm.
like recovering mentally from it. So that's always like a problem. But I also do think that was a series where the whole like Rise Annie thing for us like became a problem. And I think like a draft around that ended up being like pretty bad and like just wasn't good for us. And it was just like a whole issue through the series. So that like creates a pretty big problem. I don't remember the like specifics of the series like too much.
Okay.
Um, but like yeah, I just think we faltered compared to like our norm, and then we just did not like mentally recover from it in the series, which is extremely important in a best of 5.
So I think I Will Dominate was mentioning this as well. How you guys feel like a very soft team. It's so strange to me because you have Sven, Vulcan, and Blabber, three of like the most experienced. Okay, maybe not Blabber because we have Core JJ, but like in their roles, three of the most experienced players. And Thanatos did not struggle. It felt like it wasn't like a Thanatos was playing worse as a team, and I don't think he's a shot caller either. So where do you even begin to like diagnose why you guys struggle with like standing back up after being knocked down?
Yeah, I mean, well, I think when our whole identity was around, you know, being consistent and kind of doing the same thing all the time, and that just being what happens, and you like falter at any level around it when you're not used to playing the game in like a way that's like needed when you're behind or something like this, or when something like a curveball gets thrown your way and you're like already mentally kind of like shaken, it gets really hard to like keep going and keep doing what you're supposed to do. Like there's more cracks there for like another team to like find an angle on you that just like fucks you up. Um, like for example, like there was what was it? There was the bot. That was the game we played Rek'Sai and we like dope bot or something, right? We played
Yeah, that
Rek'Sai
was game
jungle and
5.
something. Yeah, like for example, like we should always be able to like kill there with what happened. Um, and we didn't. Like we messed up what was happening there, and that's like kind of messed the game up, and that's not good. But that's obviously it's not like we lost because of this, but that would have been a case where okay, we got our advantage from doing this. Now we can just like very just cut and dry, like just end this game off the lead that we have because we're really good generally at winning a game off of a lead. We didn't get that. Our mid game, we would generally like if we didn't have a lead, it was kind of hard for us. Like we didn't have the most like solid setup there. Weren't super creative, so didn't have like great ways to get like back into games either. So it was just kind of like messed up if your game isn't able to go the way that you're like used to it going, and you're not like really practicing that. So I really just think we just had like kind of a collapse on things. I think our problems through the year that did exist that didn't necessarily get like challenged too much outside of when we would scrim FlyQuest. When you get to the end of the year, that's when it starts to like show up and pay off. And and there's kind of like more of an expectation on you compared to the other team. There is always like an underdog effect. Like I know that when we were on GG, it was kind of the same where like you're the team that's not supposed to win. When you start winning, that can be like mentally like crumbling for the other team where it just like fucks with them. And usually the energy of a crowd is going to be on the side of like an underdog or something, So obviously we're not in like a stadium for this, but on GG, that was like really nice. When everyone wants GG to win and they're like pumped and excited for it, you can like feel that type of thing on stage. Like everyone is gonna like know and like get energized by it. So yeah, I just think we like fell apart, and it blows, but it's what happened.
How do you even approach like picking yourself back up when you're talking about like draft philosophy? Like you're being punished in all the band-aids you guys were putting between Rise and Annie are all of a sudden like being ripped open. You're collapsing like mentally a little bit, and then you have to play basically the next week, or I think it was 2 weeks after that. But where do you even begin to approach? Hey guys, can we figure this out? Like, how do you start that conversation? Where do you start?
I mean, you have to like start with where the problems are. Like, so obviously for like a draft thing, it's with the draft problems that are there and like what you're going to do around it. And like, we did have like a whole conversation around that of like, that this is like a band-aid and we can't do this. We have to figure out something around it. Like, we can't let it get to this point in draft where we have to like have an angle around it instead of like punishing ourselves by like banning these things out all the time. But it is one of those where it's like, it is like a little too late to be fixing this stuff. Like it is just kind of like, this is where you are now. You got to like make it work. So it's really hard to go into like details of like what you have to do, like specifically for like each person to like rally them back and get into it.
Can I stop you
obviously,
there
like,
actually?
we didn't
Because
ultimately get to it.
this is something that I hear so often from coaches, which is we
Yeah.
put on the band-aids. It came to the end of the year. The band-aids weren't working anymore. We had to rip them open. We didn't have time to do that. And like it kind of caused the collapse. Revan said almost the exact same thing you did, where after they beat Cloud9, they also had the situation where they kept using the band-aids, and all of a sudden against FlyQuest and against 100 Thieves, it wasn't working and it was getting worse because they started losing, and then they lost to Red, and it was like a situation where they should have torn those band-aids much earlier on.
Yeah.
Why does this like it feels like it always ends poorly when you try to do that? So maybe I can get a coach perspective on why did you stick those band-aids on the Rise or whatever other like band-aids you guys did instead of like addressing it from the
Yeah.
very beginning?
I mean, everyone has like every team has something where at some point it's like a band-aid fix of just like, say for example, like a certain meta that like you're just not good at this champion. Like regardless of like what you've done to work on it, hey, we just fucking suck at this. Like we just can't play it. You're always gonna have to find a solution around it. But that might be that, use TL for example. Yon and Gwen were like obviously band-aid bans for them because they didn't have answers around it. Every team knows it, and they like go into planning. Okay, these guys are gonna ban Yon and Gwen if I ban like this and this and this, I'm going to be able to get an advantage because they only have one ban, whereas I have three. So it always exists. Every team has it in some way. It just may not be like super apparent. Um, but like you can get through a season and have like draft issues that you're just like not good at. You just have to like appropriately like prepare yourself of like a worst case scenario of like when this happens. I know what we're gonna play and we're gonna be able to get this no matter what. I don't think teams like go into it of like I'm gonna band-aid fix this and we don't have to worry about it. I don't think that type of thing exists. But you do have some things where it's just we don't have like a great solution around it. Like we'll try to work on it. Like for example, like we have Vagar working with Loki. Vagar is working with Loki all the time about these and like trying to improve it. But if it's not your champion, it's just not your champion. Like some people just don't have like the read for that type of thing. Like Loki, for example, wasn't like a really good body for the team. Like he wasn't good at being the guy who would like make space for the rest. He was a good carry. He was really good when other people like did that job for him. So it's like on us then as coaches to try and always make it so that there's comps where someone else fulfills that role and Loki can do what he's good at. Every team does this across the board. Like you always have what's like your thing and trying to like make it work. So I think Band-Aid is just like the like the common word to use of this is how we're recovering up for this weakness. And because like we didn't have a like good way to get around it, it like hurt us in the end. It's just like an easy way to describe it rather than just being like, hey, this guy sucked at this, so we couldn't play it. Because that's just like fucked up to say, Like
Yeah, it makes
it's
sense.
usually not a good thing to like do during the season, and you never want to do that. And obviously, when I'm saying like Loki's not the best, like Rise or Annie, Loki was like insane at Yone and like these types of like Yone Azir. Like we knew if we got Yone Azir, Talia, these types of champs, it was a wrap. Like we were gonna win the fucking game. But it's fearless. You're not gonna get those every single game. So it's really just like working on your depth there and like having good options when that's gone, which is like, Hizari was an example of us like doing that. Just like, yeah, he's really good at this. And we know it's like a pocket pick we can do. So this is like our plan. This is what we're going to do when we get to like this fucked up point and make a comp that works with this.
Did you guys expect to get to that like point against DSG?
No, definitely not. I mean, we said in interviews, like we had this pick like planned and we know Loki's really good at it, but ideally we didn't want to have to do this versus DSG. That was kind of cringe that we had to get to that point. Because yeah, I mean we scrimmed DSG like one time every split, and then at the end of it we're just like we're not scrimming these guys again. Like it's not competitive enough. So we're sitting at the year we're like 15-0 versus DSG. Then we go on stage and we're losing like 2 games versus them. We haven't lost a single time. We're just like fuck. I mean, this just like showed where we were kind of at like mentally, and we just didn't ever recover that stuff on stage, and we didn't do a good enough job as coaches to like fix that. So,
It seemed like the players could smell it too. Before the game, they had talked with Castle, and he was like, "Oh, I'm not too worried. We just have to beat them once, and then they'll kind of collapse." And then I talked to XU after the series, and he said, honestly, like, sure, you can give us our flowers for taking Cloud9 to 5, but we knew coming into it, like they were not playing very good League of Legends. So we had that opportunity. Like Cloud9, we weren't as good as them, but they also weren't playing as good as Cloud9 usually does. So it felt like there was also like blood in the water, and they could smell it, and they jumped at that first opportunity. How did you go down 2 games, like you're losing that 4th game? Surely in your mind, it's like, oh my god, are we about to get like, are we gonna lose a game 5 to DSG? What's happening in that coach room emotionally?
Oh, I mean, yeah, I'm like pissed, and I'm just like, yeah, we're gonna fucking lose to DSG. Yeah, it's just you're naturally just gonna be like, I can't believe we're fucking doing this, like, etc. It's how it goes.
Do you hide those emotions
after
when the
losing to
players come?
SR, I mean, yeah, you like have to. You'd have to talk about like what's next and like move on from it. But you always know it's in everyone's mind of like when you're like doing poorly against a team that you were not expecting to do poorly versus, everyone's thinking in their head like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, how is it that we're literally at this level where this is what's going to happen? But yeah, I mean, teams obviously knew we weren't playing like at our peak when we lost SR. That it was their like moment against us, So like it is what it is. That's how it goes. Any team would be thinking the same. Like this is our time to beat them. I think everyone also thought the same, at least on our side versus Fly, because we didn't think they were like playing at their peak at all in the last split. So like we were feeling the same of like, yeah, we get to play them. We're gonna like shit on these guys. So that's how it goes. Whenever you're like looking up at the team you got to beat and you see a weakness, you're gonna be thinking of like, nice, I'm gonna capitalize on that.
Yeah, I felt like after the DSG series, I don't know what happened internally, but going into the 100 Thieves series, I felt like you guys actually played well. I know there's the whole, oh, they collapsed, but 100 Thieves had to dig deep in order to beat you guys. It wasn't the same situation that happened against DSG where it felt like you guys were faltering a lot more and DSG was kind of capitalizing on it. With the 100 Thieves series, it actually felt like 100 Thieves had a lot of momentum and were playing really well, and then you guys were coming back up in terms of momentum. Like you guys were starting to figure it out. Was that also how you guys felt internally at that time?
I mean, I think we were definitely working our way back. I mean, we're 2 weeks out from the SR series now, where we've like had a lot of talks about things and like tweaks around what we can do to, improve the problems from then. I don't think we were like back to full form at all. Obviously, like since we lost, I do think 100 Thieves improved a lot by changing out Sniper for Dokla. Like I think one, they have their own like honeymoon phase where there was definitely like some internal thing of like they didn't really work as well with Sniper as I think they were hoping to. Um, and so like word spreads around that and everyone kind of like knows. And then once it changes, you will always have a honeymoon effect of like, nice, this is better. Like it's easier for us to play now because we can do X or Y thing. And so 100 Thieves is definitely experiencing that. Um, so I think it was just like a more competitive match as we were like climbing up and they were, sitting on a good high.
I don't want to talk too much about that series because I did do an interview with you right after you guys lost. I don't know if you remember, but
Yeah.
I
Yeah, I
even said
remember.
at the very end, like, this was a project that I felt like you guys did a great job with, and I really hope you guys stick with it. Because I think it could have gone a lot of places, and I'd rather you guys try to fix
Yeah.
the issue than start all over. And thankfully, you guys did. But how does that
Yeah.
discussion start with? I don't know if you end up meeting with the GM, with Jack himself. I don't know who's involved in the process, but surely something happens where you got to sit down and be like, our goal was to make worlds. We didn't make worlds. What are we gonna do?
Yeah, I mean, you have all the like off-season discussions between like staff and management. Yeah, obviously like check in with all the players, see what's on their mind, see what they thought of the year, and like you like break these things down together and just see like what you're looking at realistically for next year. Because you could get into off-season and a
Oh,
player could you with like, I do not want to play with this guy. Like again, like that type of thing can happen, and you gotta respond around that and figure out what to do. But everyone was pretty on the same page that we wanted to run it back, like that we thought that we were a good like group. Like we thought that like with the players that we have, we can easily just win. I don't really see a need to like change things up. Um, so like our plan was to run it back. Obviously, like the team looks around at everything in off season. That's like a GM has to do that just in case because you never know. Like what if T1's calling up Thanatos and they want to like bring him in next year? Yeah, he's probably going to take that. Wouldn't blame him either. You never know when a player might get like a crazy interest from another team that's interesting to them. But yeah, like our idea was just to run it back.
that's a very hard discussion to have in esports. Like running teams back, almost most teams don't really do that. Um,
Yeah,
Especially Cloud9. I mean, a lot of times mid lane. I think 2023 we had two mid laners. 2024 we had a mid lane, and then a top lane change. 2025 we had another mid lane change. It's like constant shifting and changing
yeah.
of players in Cloud9 over the past like I think 4.5 years. So for them to like say, hey, we're actually sticking all in the same. Did something? Do you guys feel something special in this team? Like it felt strange coming from Cloud9.
I think it's just like we didn't feel like there was a talent deficit anywhere that was there, and the team environment itself was like good. There was like really no reason to like change things up. I usually if you're making a change, it's because like maybe these like players don't work well together. Maybe there's like a personality clash. Maybe you feel like there's an upgrade that's available at this position that you really want to pursue. Um, wasn't really the case here, so there was no like real reason to even go out and like look for that.
All right, that makes sense. I mean, I agree with you guys. the last thing, obviously, what happens with Loki happens. But before that, I almost forgot. You guys did change your coaching staff, and
Yeah.
the coaching position on Cloud9 seems to be a little bit of also like defense against the dark arts. You know, you had
Yeah.
a lot of different coaching changes, sometimes mid split and whatnot. Um, I don't know how much you can say about that because you ended up becoming like the head coach. But I guess what I'll frame it this way: what sort of responsibilities are now thrown on you that you're the head coach that you would need that weren't when you were an assistant coach?
When you're the head coach, it's on you to create like the structure within the team environment, like what the other coaches are going to be doing, how practice is going to look like. You know, ultimately, you're the decision maker for what's going on day to day. So that's really all that's like changed for me is that I'm in charge of delegating what the other coaches are doing, what we're focusing on, how we're practicing, what we're practicing, those types of things.
Did you have to promise to increase the 30% LeBron James win rate in draft for you to get the position?
No, I did not have to. I did not have to do that, thankfully. I will still be griefing draft happily. We will constantly remain a team making fun of me for any draft things. If a draft ever goes bad, even if I'm not the one who decides like, yo, I think this is what the good pick is, we will be blaming me, and that's completely okay. That's the role I accept. It's fun to make fun of me for it on a public level and on the player level, so it's chill.
Does Thanatos like get the meme of like the LeBron James of draft? Does he get it?
I don't even think he's heard it, bro. That's literally like a Twitter only thing and like fan only thing. I don't think he has seen that at all.
Okay, I gotta tell him then when he the next time I interview him. You also brought in Dom
That sounds good.
full time.
Yeah,
I guess you guys did work with him a little bit, but it's kind of
yeah,
scary that you bring him in and he's sort of like obviously there's still Vigar V2, but he's like the main strategic coach now, and he's the one that's going to be giving direction and like in game, and he's very smart about the game. But he's also been a coach for what like less than a year, and even then it was like a remote coach. This is like a lot of responsibility to give to a person all of a sudden.
yeah. I mean, I think in his role, Dom just needs to understand the game, and like he already gets along with the people that are there. Um, so in a personal level, it's like completely fine. Like he's talked with the guys the whole last year, so he's already used to it. For me, I was pretty excited to bring Dom on. Um, like much more excited than having to go like search for another coach. Like if it wasn't Dom, it would have been like me going after Spooks because like we'd worked together in the past, and I really liked working with Sam. I always thought he was good, and that's why we made him a head coach on GG. Um, but I was excited to work with Dom. Like he understands the game. He spends all of his time watching the game. He's clearly really passionate about the game, which to me is the most important thing that's there. That someone who understands it and actually like gives a shit about it and isn't just going to go out and be like partying or something and just enjoying the coach life and just chilling. I don't want that. Um, so I was pretty pumped for it. Like for me, the years of experience that he's like missing coaching is something that is less important than just understanding the game and being able to talk about it and provide another perspective. Like it's on me to handle the like interpersonal things of the team. Obviously, Dom is an adult; like he understands how to like talk to people and handle those things too. So it's not like he's really missing that. So for me, it's not really like a scary thing to really jump into at all. Working with him, like it's very very natural, very easy. So just feels right.
Interesting. Not saying this is Dom's situation, but there is something to say about whether someone knows something and someone knows how to teach that same thing. And it could also, like, again, you guys have now four veteran players. I guess even at this point, Thanatos has been playing
Yeah.
for a while. It could be a situation where Dom really sees the game one way, Blabber sees it a different way, Sven sees it a third way. And it's like, I guess that's what you were saying. It's on you to figure out how to get everybody on that same page.
Yeah, pretty much. But like even those things, we're not sitting here on this type of team as teachers. When you're working in like academy or something, you're doing a lot more teaching than really like coaching. Like coaching and teaching is it's like a completely different type of thing.
Mm.
Here it's more managing the people that we have and like the way we see the game and the ideas that are there and getting us on the same page and finding ways to make it work. And then bringing like new ideas to the team of like what we're watching, like, hey, this team's doing this. Like, I think we can implement that into what we're doing and kind of make that like a set play or something. Um, so that's much less teaching and more just bringing perspective, managing like the egos that are there, managing the personalities that are there, and making them like click.
Okay, that makes sense. You also bring in APA. Now, APA is a very different type of player than Loki. Maybe you can disagree with that, but it feels from watching them
Yeah,
both play, he's very different. He
yeah,
likes
very
to
different.
gather a lot more resources around the map. It feels like he's like more gold hungry, whereas Loki is like, I'll take what you give me, and that obviously changes the way you guys play. Um, Talk to me a little bit about making APA fit within the dynamic of current Cloud9.
Yeah, so I would say they're pretty opposite, to be honest, of what you said. Like I think APA is way more willing to do what's necessary for the team and like give up what's there to like enable the team. At least with us, like that's how he's been. Whereas like Loki was much better with being the person we set up to succeed. Again, because Loki's identity was way, way more of I know how to play a carry and know how to carry from like a strong position, but I don't know how to be the like person who makes space and like sets you up.
That makes sense.
Whereas APA is a lot better at doing that, a lot better at like using his advantage to enable other people than to enable like himself. He obviously can enable himself like pretty well, but you know, instinctually, like he sees the angle to set you up and will look to do that. Um, so far for us, it's been pretty good. I think he naturally fits with someone like Blabber and with someone like Thanatos. It just is a very easy click for them. Like he's very good at setting those guys up for success and doing what they need and like adapting his play around like what makes sense for them. So it's been good, honestly. Like I think it is um like it was a really good option for us that existed an off season to go after the everything that happened with Loki. Um and yeah, I mean it's been pretty solid. We're just finding out ways to make him work for our team and so far it's been pretty good.
Yeah, I guess I was thinking more of the times where he would be playing a lot of the Tristana, the Ziggs, like going around finding different sideways that he could kind of cheat or getting plates when you wouldn't expect him to do so.
Yeah.
So I guess from the outside, it looks like he's always looking for that extra wave. But I guess not to hate on my fellow North American, but you guys ended up with APA instead of signing a Korean, which is like the cool thing to do, right? I mean, you guys had Loki, who
Yeah.
was a Korean.
Yeah.
Was it too late in the offseason to look for Koreans? Was it like you guys knew you wanted
No.
APA? What?
No, we were in the off season, you know, like it was late, but we were still there early enough to be in conversation with everyone. You know, like we spoke to Zenny, which is I know is your mid laner. We spoke around and just did not see something that we were, you know, super interested in. We didn't really want to go down the same path where, you know, we're teaching a guy English for the whole year and he has to learn it and doing that whole like thing again because there are challenges that come with that that kind of limit you as a team for a little bit. Um, so weren't super interested in doing that unless like we had to do it. Um, so in our case, like you know, APA speaks perfect English considering he's from America and like he kind of fit the profile that you know we were looking for as a team for someone, and so it just made sense.
Okay, and then you guys, we'll be wrapping up quite shortly, but you guys had like your practice in Kespa Cup, and I just want to get a sense or a feel of sometimes you play with a team and you feel like, oh yeah, we're picking up where we left off. Now that you do have a different player and obviously a new coach like full time, did you feel like the team is like a new team? Do you feel like it's just kind of picking up back from where you guys did? Like, what's the internal vibe in Cloud9?
And we did kind of pick up where we left off, but I think we've like found kind of a like a newer version of ourselves of like what we can do with APA. I think a lot of the things we wanted to do last year that maybe didn't like work for how our team worked naturally are a lot easier now because APA like is naturally doing things different. Um, you know, we are missing like some things, of course, because Loki was, you know, a very good player and had like his own strengths that aren't necessarily the same strengths as APA. But, you know, you lose some strengths and you gain some others in another spot. And it's just, you figure out how to make those work for your team. But it feels really good for us so far.
Fair enough. You guys scrimmed Shopify when you guys were in Korea, and APA
Yep.
immediately said, "Man, I think this guy's not even top four." And then he reiterated it
Yep.
during pros. Do you guys like stomp us? Like, what happened?
Yep. Basically,
Basically,
I don't.
okay.
I don't know. I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, obviously, like he is a player getting used to a new team as well. Like they're going through their own like changes as a team. Um, but yeah, it's just how it is right now. I'm sure they'll be
Okay.
better. I'm sure they will get better. I respect the players there and the staff that are there that they'll get better. But as of right now, we definitely have their number. So
In scrims, not on
APA
stage.
APA is gonna shit talk. Yeah, yeah. Not on stage yet. We haven't seen anything. So who knows?
True, true. Um, the last thing I wanted to ask is about like expectations for this Cloud9. Obviously, Worlds is in North America. Last year, your expectations were let's make
Yeah.
Worlds. Is it the same expectation? Have you increased like let's make it to a final or let's win a final? Like what is the expectation for Cloud9 in 2026?
Our expectation is definitely to win. We think we should be winning. We should be at Worlds. That's like a minimum for us. Is like we should be at Worlds. But yeah, we're expecting to win.
Do you think Team Liquid are your biggest opponent?
Yep, I think it's Team Liquid and us are the like top teams. So I guess everyone gets like a preview of the potential finals on week one,
Oh
since
wow,
Riot
potential
smashed us up
final. All
against each
right.
other. So we'll see. But who knows? Who knows how it'll change through the year? But C9 will be there. So
All right. I think the last thing here, Martin will kill me if I don't use any of the questions that he sent. So just
all
give
right.
me a second here. I think you only sent one, so that should be. Uh, okay. C9 has been starting out past couple of years strong, and then seemingly they fall off later in the year, both in terms of cohesion and overall performance, which ultimately led them to miss Worlds. Would you would you say that's the case? And if so, how do you plan on tackling that to keep consistent? I guess we kind of did touch up on that, but maybe a little bit
Yeah,
more
I
on
can
like
probably answer it.
yeah, Cloud9 struggles. Have you guys tried to bring in like a sports psychologist or someone that can maybe work on toughening up the players so they're not as shaken, or is that something you guys feel like okay, we've moved past that?
Yeah, I know C9 had someone for that in the last year and years before. We don't have someone this year for it. But it wasn't really like used heavily in the last year from at least what I've experienced. Um, for us, or at least like I can say like from what I've noticed, like yeah, C9 has like peaked early and then like fallen off later in the year. Everyone like saw this from like other teams and onto here, and onto now. I mean, so at least from my experience and what I've kind of noticed, C9 has like a lot more demanding schedule than other teams, which I think does naturally lead itself to burnout as you go through the year, where things just wear on you more. You've got gym expectations, content expectations, these types of things. But it's what you sign up for when you're joining C9. For me, at least, a big piece of that is finding ways to just still make the scrims like feel enjoyable while still learning. I think that's really important for kind of lessening that load a bit. Um, when you show up and every day is just like complete work and work, 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 work all the time, it is going to wear away at you. You're showing up to your job every day through the year. You're like so ready for your vacation time at the end of the year in a normal job. Like in esports, you're dumping like more hours constantly. And even though you're playing a game all day, I don't know if you played League all day, but the shit gets old. Like it's not really a game anymore, especially when you go home and you play solo queue and it's just, it's people fighting all the time, people typing all the time. Like, it's not fun, and you will lose some of that fun. So I think scrims have to be enjoyable still in some way to you, and it can't just feel like you're showing up to work every day. I think our guys naturally do a good job of making that like lessened, like they make it feel fun. But I think it's on us too to like try to keep that like not completely carefree feeling, but like a much lighter feeling when you can, so that you're enjoying yourself and you're not like gassing yourself through the year. Just really intentionally going into practice and burning yourself when it's time to like burn and like put it in, rather than just gassing yourself out in the middle of the year and being exhausted by the end. But I think it'll be good. Like I think a lot of the stuff that C9 does with this is actually like really good for players. Like I love the gym. I'm glad that the team does it. Content is obviously good. I think it's been a dead horse has been beat by the public for a while now that there needs to be content out there or else our league is going to die. So like people should be doing it. Um, it's all important stuff. So I think it should be happening. It's just you got to be intentional with your practice and like how you're treating your work days, so that way it doesn't do too much on your psyche by the end.
Yeah, it's actually quite interesting that you talk about burnout. I feel like you guys didn't make either international tournament. I guess EWC a little bit, but you guys did scrim a lot, and I don't know. It feels like maybe something more to talk about FlyQuest than Cloud9, but I guess every team is going to struggle with it if you just feel like you're doing the same thing over and over again for like
we all
11
scrimmed
months.
the same amount of time as FlyQuest. You know, TL was doing the same thing, and I bet you those guys were burnt the fuck out by the end of the year. At least according to like APA 2, I think those guys were pretty burnt out by the end of the year. So you gotta manage what you're doing really well too. Like I think teams can overdo it pretty heavily, and it is good to practice a lot, but you really gotta like do it intentionally and not just, yo, we're gonna grind more all day because that's what Korea's doing, and let's just grind this shit out and be dead by the end of the year. So just being intentional with it, being aware that like that type of thing is a thing and is real, and making sure you're not screwing yourself over.
Well, I really hope that you guys do make it to Worlds. I hope that you guys get a lot of success, except against Shopify, obviously. I'm a huge Blabber fan. He's like probably my favorite player in the league.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that you guys do quite well. And yeah, thank you so much for like giving us so much detail about the project from last year and even to this year. And hopefully we see Cloud9 do so. Please crush Team Liquid, man. I can't stand Team Liquid.
I'll do my best.
Something about me just hates them.
Understandable. We'll try to, man. That's the goal. So we'll see. I got a parting question for you though.
Oh, sure.
All right. What's your fantasy team? Who do you got on your fantasy team right now?
Oh, I put no Cloud9 members. This is gonna be too.
Who do you have signed for your coach?
Oh, it has to be Revan. That's
crazy.
Okay. In my defense, I think we're playing one of the softer teams, so of course I'm going to pick a coach that's gonna win, right? I'm gonna change it. I put Thanatos. Oh no, I put Thanatos in top. I chose Rumble, and then contract Zinni because we're playing against FlyQuest, and then Rahel Huhi because they're playing against DSG, which I thought was like really bad, and then Revan as coach because I thought we were gonna win, and I may or may not only had a few points left, but yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so you have enough points for me. No worries.
Do I have enough points for you?
I understand.
I already have Thanatos, man. I'm not risking even more.
Right, I'm 0.5 points higher than Revan.
I have exactly 0 left. So I actually can't get you.
Fair then, you know, it is what it is.
I actually cannot get you.
No worries.
Do you have yourself on fantasy?
I don't have a fantasy roster, so I'm just here to observe other people's decisions and then judge them accordingly. That's all. Right.
When I win next week, I'll be able to afford you. And if you guys crush Team Liquid, I will swap off to you.
Sounds good.
For sure.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, man. Good. Thanks for the interview.
Yeah, thank you, man.